Well, the Tokyo Paralympic Games kicked off this week with, for the first time, a prime time slot on American network television. As William Brangham reports, it's part of the increasing interest and growth in these games.
That's right. In addition to TV coverage, these games have the largest number of athletes competing, including record numbers of women and LGBTQ athletes. At the opening ceremony, the refugee Paralympic team led the parade of over 4,400 athletes. But like the Olympic Games earlier this month, because of the pandemic, there were no spectators allowed in the stands. Motoko Rich is the New York Times bureau chief, and she joins me now. Motoko Rich, great to have you on the NewsHour. Tokyo just shifted from hosting the Olympic Games to now the Paralympic Games. And as I was describing, there does seem to be this growing interest in these games in particular. Do you have a sense of why that is? What do you attribute that to?
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, certainly here in Japan, it's the second Paralympics. Back in 1964, when Tokyo hosted the Olympics, that was only the second time that there was a Paralympics that was paired with the Olympics, and it was in Tokyo. So I think there's a long history here. I think there's been a very concerted effort. The organizers have kept saying, if the Paralympics are not successful, then we can't say that the overall Olympics have been successful. So there have been a lot of advertisements, and so awareness has grown. And I think there's but more coverage. There's been primetime coverage of the event, so it's definitely sort of out there in the ether in a way that it might not have been before.
And are there particular athletes or events that you've been paying attention to?
Well, I've spent a lot of time at the pool watching Abbas Karimi. He was one of the flag bearers for the Paralympic refugee team. He was born without arms. And as it happens, at the moment, he's the only Afghan athlete here because the athletes from Afghanistan could not safely leave Kabul to fly to Tokyo. We've been told that they have actually been evacuated, but we don't know exactly where they are. And we don't even know whether they're going to make it to the games. There's still a possibility that one or both of them that were on the delegation could make it to compete, but at the moment they're not here, and so he's the only one. So he swam today in the butterfly. He did really well in his heat. He set a personal best, and then in the final he came in 8th.
But he still has another shot, I guess, next week?
He does. Yeah, he does. He's going to be swimming the backstroke on Monday.
You wrote a beautiful profile of him and his journey to getting to Tokyo in the Times recently. I'm just curious, how does someone living in 4 different refugee camps train for this kind of competition?
I think he has more determination than in someone that I've ever met or talked to. He was very, very focused on the swimming. So as soon as he got to the refugee camps, he'd already won a national championship in Afghanistan when he left, just at age 16. So as soon as he got to Turkey, he started talking to people. And I guess the folks at the refugee camps connected him with a coach, and he was willing to ride a bus 1 hour each way just to get 1 hour of swim time in. And he did that during COVID in Oregon as well, drove with a coach for an hour and a half just to get 45 minutes in. So he's a very determined fellow.
So what other events are you paying particular attention to?
Well, this is my first Paralympics, so I'm kind of interested in everything, but I went to wheelchair rugby the other day because the Japan team is very good and is expected to medal. And so I watched them play the Danish team, and they were, in fact, remarkable, and sort of learning the rules of wheelchair rugby, which is different. I mean, has some resemblance to rugby, but also has elements from other games, and it's also about a point system depending on the disability of the players. So it's really fascinating to watch, and I'm hoping to go see more matches.
And how did the Japanese team do?
They won quite handily, and so they've got a couple more matches before the final, I think, is on Sunday.
COVID-19 obviously hung enormously over the Olympic Games, and now it's not like the pandemic has disappeared in Tokyo or in Japan more broadly. Is it still casting, maybe a pall is the wrong word, but is it still casting a shadow over these games?
I would say a pretty huge shadow, actually. Just today, for the very first time, Japan hit the record high of 2,000 cases of people who are severe enough to warrant intubation or being admitted to an ICU. So that's a very worrying number that's been going up the whole time that the games have been in town, including the Olympics. And Tokyo's hospitals are overburdened. It's now getting to the point where they're saying that if you try to get into an ambulance, even for a non-COVID illness, they might not be able to find you a hospital bed. They are trying to ramp up vaccinations, but just this morning they opened a mass site for people, young people, to get vaccinated. People were lining up at 1 a.m. in the morning and couldn't get in. It was, sold. I don't even know what the word would be, but they were out of vaccine by 7:30 in the morning, and so they're trying to set up a lottery. So it's been very difficult.
Motoko Rich, Tokyo Bureau Chief for the New York Times. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.